You've seen the show, we can talk about anything. You got so much to cover. There's no way we're going to get to it all. But when I first saw your name in the paper, I thought it was Raul. And then I found out later it's Raul. So now I've had to change, like Pope John Paul, Paul McCartney. I just have that.
Yeah.
Well, we're rolling. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Tonight I am talking in circles with Raul Malo. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we go way back. I met you when we were knocking around Nashville at the same time.
Well, you were already an inspiration to us, and I remember when Killing Time came out, and I saw your tour. You came to Miami, Florida. And I remember all the Mavericks. We all went to that show. We went with somebody from our record label, and it was great. It was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna ride this ride, and so that was the start of it, and I'll never forget it. Of course, that was a landmark record. Easy to say, fair to say, for you. And
opened the door for me.
Yeah. That
was 35 years ago. So you guys had already decidedly gone with a country label.
Yeah. We started out as a country band. I don't know what we are now.
I've heard you say that. And that's one of the fantastic things, country music's always been country music. It's had all these different styles to it.
And flavors, and there's always been a little variation. And I love that. I know that there's a bunch of traditionalists out there that, country music has done this and it's done that. And it's like, when something is evolving, sometimes, you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet kind of thing, and
the purist you're talking about, you can't look back over the history of country music and be pure about anything.
No, that's what
when Haggard came out, it was the Bakersfield Sound and Buck Owens, and that was not
people
country.
complained
Eddie
about
Reeves
that.
Was not,
I remember people complained about Patsy Cline, that it was too
pop,
cosmopolitan or too pop. So I take that stuff with a grain of salt. And, the Mavericks have certainly evolved since those days. But we started out, I still love country music. And we were a simpler band back then.
Four piece.
Yeah. And our career has always been strange, for sure. I mean, one of the first gigs we did as the Mavericks, we opened for Marilyn Manson.
Yes, but of course.
That's how that started, And I remember looking out in the audience, and there was 1,000 kids up there. They all looked like Manson. They all had white faces, black hair, jet black hair. And at the time, they would take lunch boxes to the shows. Lunch boxes, I don't know. And I figured they're going to have stuff in those lunch boxes. And if we...
You're going to get hit by
it. If we stink it up, they're going to So we just thought, normally we come out, we rock out, we do a rocker set. We came out and did the most country set, the twangiest set you could possibly do. And those kids were in such shock that they loved it.
They hadn't yet.
They were they loved it. We shocked them into submission.
So you're still in Miami, but you're going to go to Nashville. You know that.
Yeah.
And you're going to make that record. What was the artist repertoire process for that? Had you already written much of that album?
I came up here. I wrote with some really wonderful people like Costas, Harlan Howard, Al Anderson. Those were just some of
our best writers.
Some of the few that were, and I really learned, that's what I still love about Nashville. I learned to really write a song when I got up here. And
so you didn't have the one you wrote, all you ever do is bring me down with Al.
With Al.
Yeah, you didn't have that coming in.
No, that came later. That was our third record. It had All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down, had Here Comes the Rain, and those were big songs for us. But people think that they were all number ones, and we had one song creep into the top 10, and that was All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down, and it was there for a week. And it's great because we still close our show with it, so it's a big part of what we do.
Who played that guitar? Really kind of a Albert Lee
Yeah.
type of guitar. Was that?
That was Nick Kane, our guitar player at the time. I grew up listening to all kinds of music. And one of the things that I wanted to do, even though I couldn't articulate it back then because I wasn't sure, but you had this idea to bring a little Latin flair to country music because I've always felt the connection. I grew up in a house where we listened to country music, we listened to Cuban music, we listened to big band, we listened to jazz. My dad was a huge country music fan, so I had access to all these records. And I didn't have anybody telling me that that was this was this was that. I just listened to it. And I always found a little connecting thread through all of it. And if you listen carefully, there is like old school Cuban music, what we call guajiro music, which is the Cuban country music. So many similarities as far as the stories, the delivery, the voice, the inflections to country music, even though it's a different rhythm. The subject matter is really close, and the way the stories are told and passed down. And so I always found a connectivity, and I always found, I'll give you an example, Roy Orbison, Blue Bayou. That's like a bolero beat, you know? And I'm like, man, does nobody else see this connection? Like
I hear it. I hear it in your music. I was going to say,
Yeah.
you know, to the layman, they don't know the beat's different. Their
Right.
head's going to bob on the
Yeah.
on the 2 and the 4
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had this idea to bring in Flaco Jimenez, the famous
The Eddie Van Halen of accordion.
Of accordion, yeah. And what a great experience, of course. And we're still friends. Of course, he's a lot older, and he was fantastic and an amazing musician. And that set the tone because that, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you a funny story on that song. That song was creeping into the top 10. And this is a true story. There was a radio station somewhere in the Carolinas, and the program director called our radio man at the label and said, because, you know, the radio game is a negotiation, right? You know, they're always, hey, if you give us a number 1 or if you throw this one in the top 10, I'll let you have Reba tickets or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And the program director from the radio station called our radio man and said, man, I really like this song. It's doing well, but is there any way to take out the accordion? And I was like, at first I was so mad and so hurt. Like, why would you want to do that? Obviously, the reason is, you know, he hated it. And it felt a bit racist to me, you know, that he would want to take the accordion out. Like, you're singling out the accordion? Like, and he said this, yeah, it's too brown, you know?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I'll never forget that. But, you know, you keep going. And in the end, you know, that guy no longer has a job. I'm still here, you know? So, you know,
Damn straight.
yeah. And so we were right and he was wrong. And of course, now you look at country music and it's all over the place and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see the different influences, the different takes on country music, and you know, maybe not all of it is to everyone's liking, but it's moving forward. And I think that's a good thing. I'm at home and I'm going through old demos and papers and stuff, and I find an old demo for a song that I really liked, and I'm like, "Oh, this is good." And then I remember I recorded a good demo of this. I need to find that. So I went down this rabbit hole, and I'm going through my house. I couldn't find it. In 2010, when we had the floods here, I remember I had to pack up my house. We lost our house. We lost all our stuff. I took all the songs, and I remember throwing them in a bin, you know, with tapes and DATs, and back when we used DAT tapes and all that. So I stuck them in storage. So it was time to find these. Man, I went to the storage, and I found these bins, and I opened them up, and I found all these songs that I had written around the 2008, 2007 time. So many really good songs. I found a song in there that I had written with Bernie Taupin. I found a song I had written with Costas, and I found the demo that I had been originally looking for. when I wrote the songs and I remember demoing them, they didn't sound believable. Do you ever, you ever do a song and you think, oh, it's good, but I'm going to sing it, and then somehow something doesn't convince you that you should?
No, it's never happened to me.
You nail it every time. See,
I'm not admitting that. Yeah.
but what's amazing is, so I found these songs in this storage, and it's almost like this time vault. I wrote these songs for me 15 years ago to be discovered now, because now they work great with the Mavericks and what we're doing, and they're on the record.
I want to know how you got Dance the Night Away to the top of the charts in England, because it sounded to me like I heard you talking about that like it was a surprise, but someone had to have been working on that on your behalf.
In England, it works a little differently than here. And at the time, the BBC had a lot of power, a lot of
Reach.
reach. Yeah. And if you got on the right show at the right time, that's sometimes
Everybody
all it took.
knew.
And I'm telling you, we did the weirdest show. This is no lie. This was a morning show. We're there at 6 a.m. We had gone to bed at 3 because we played the night before. And of course, we're in London, so we're having to host people and see record labels and this and that. And so, anyways, we're at the studio at 6 a.m. We're like, what's this? And there's a show. This is no lie. There's a show, and they're doing a segment on abused animals. So it's like, oh boy, this is cheerful morning stuff. This is great. And she's going on about the abuse of these animals, and you can come to the shelter and visit them, and if you take one home, this and that, and this one's been through this, and this one's been through that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Mavericks.
Hey, we really worrying about these animals with you, but we really just want to dance the night away.
Yeah, it was like the strangest segue I have ever seen.
I'm not going to be able to listen to that song now without thinking about those poor animals.
It was traumatic.
And if you could see the dance moves I worked up for that song, blasting it throughout the house, that is such a contrast.
This is the stuff
feel good.
You go through as you travel in this life. There's always, that's why Spinal Tap isn't funny to musicians. Because I swear, I watch Spinal Tap, I'm like, this isn't irony. When I meet Rob Reiner, I'm going to let him know that movie was not funny at all.
Yeah, this wasn't fiction to us.
It's not fiction at all, that we go through this. And that morning show was exactly that. But after that show was on in every household in England, basically. So that we went from abused animals to dancing the night away, and that's all she wrote. Like, that's all it needed. And then we got invited to do another show, and then that was it. And once you do the lottery, that's it. You're it.
What would you call that groove on that song?
It's really a combination of a straight up country thing and ska, and because it has ska elements to it, and that's and we have that in all our songs. And the reason that is, when I was a kid learning music, I remember going to a little place down the street from where we lived, a place called Sundays on the Bay, and they had a little marina there. And on Sunday afternoon, they'd have a band called Pluto, and they were a ska band. And they would come in, and I was 16. I couldn't get in because you needed an ID, but I would come in around the back and watch the musicians, and they knew that I could play, or I don't know how they knew. I think they saw me play guitar or something. So I would sneak in, and man, I would watch this band, and I would see the crowd, all walks of life, young people, old people, all colors, all kinds, everybody there. When that band would start, the dancing and the joy that would permeate throughout was palpable, and it was strong. And I'm like, that's cool.
When I play that song, Dance the Night Away,
Yeah.
I'm not joking about my dance moves.
I bet.
Every now and then there's something that I'm playing in the house and I just have to move. And that's when it was such an infectious groove and
Yeah.
beat and those horns.
Thank
The
you, man.
music video
Yeah.
for that one.
We shot that here somewhere, a grocery store in Fairview, I think it was, not too far from here, about 40 minutes away or something.
It was so good.
It's ridiculous. But
What point was that? Which album?
that was Trampoline. That's 97, 98, somewhere in there.
Good bit along the way.
Yeah. But that song set up really kind of, it informed everything we're doing now, because it was like, okay, people dig this. Like, yeah, this is that groove. And we've run with it ever since, So all my stuff sounds like Dance the Night Away, basically. No, I'm kidding.
It's great.
Yeah.
Are you consistently a makeup of the band now on tour? Do you supplement? Do you sometimes bring horns and sometimes not? Or
The horns are with us, The Mavericks have evolved into this thing, and it's really fun, and it's high energy. And then I love throwing in the ballads, and that changes the dynamic of the show. And so it's an ebb and flow, and it's a little journey we take people on, like, as you do. And so, yeah, we got the horns, we got the accordion. It's the full thing, man. It's on. It's a blessing to have what we have. And I feel like we still have something to say, and people say, well, when do you give it up, or when do you stop? And I'm like, I don't know that musicians stop, you just don't. You keep going.
They just stop getting called.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm still getting called.
How many dates a year do you?
We probably do 100, I would say.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, And
so you are fine-tuned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's an oiled machine right now.
How consistent? What happens in the set? Are there times where you just, I'm not doing that next song, I'm doing this one instead? Or
oh,
do you
yeah.
have much of that?
Oh, yeah. I have all the guys are in in-ears. I'm not. I have my monitors, but we've lowered the stage volume a lot, so that's helped, and that's been really nice. So now how I communicate, because of course, Eddie, our guitar player, he's busy being Eddie, and he's got his in-ears, and you can say, hey, your boots are on fire. Huh? He can't hear. He can't hear anything. So you have to go to the microphone and go, hey guys, we're going to do this, this, and this next, And so we've set up a little system where I can talk to the guys and the audience can't hear me, And so.
Yeah, I've seen artists who has a pad to step on, wearing a lav mic, and can step on a pad.
Same concept.
I've got my harmonica brace on always.
You do?
And so, and it's got a mic attached to it. So my monitor engineer can hear me. So I could communicate to him, and then he can tell everyone who else,
gotcha.
Because we've all got the in-ears.
Gotcha, yeah.
So can there just be drastic changes in the set?
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows that the set list is a list of suggestions,
Because you have the ones that you definitely
sure. We know we're going to end. We know we're going to end with "Bring Me Down." Everything else is up for grabs, and it's great. And sometimes I use that mic just to. I hadn't seen the guys in a couple of days, so I'll go back to the mic. Hey, how's everybody doing? In the middle of the set, in the middle of a song, Percy will be our accordion player. He'll be like wailing and doing his thing. And I'll be like, guys, look at Percy. Doesn't he look good tonight? Look at him. He's all fancy. Look at him.
Talking to the
band. Everybody's trying to play like, shut the hell up. We're trying to play. So I'm always doing stuff like that.
That's great. So what about jokes? You tell them any jokes while
the band?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have traveling with us, two people that are part of our team. And one of them, she was a professional dancer in Cuba. She's from the National Ballet, beautiful. And she comes out and dances, but she's also our trainer and our nutritionist, and she works a lot. She keeps us in line as best she can. And anyways, so she's doing this dance, and she's really beautiful. And she's dancing. It's very sensual, and it's this gorgeous piece. Her husband is the videographer, and he comes pirouetting across the stage because he's trying to make as little noise and be as invisible as possible. So he's taking these really little light steps, and it was the funniest thing. And so I see it, and I'm like, and I get on the mic to the guys, and I go, guys, just remember, she's married to him. Just think about that as you watch this dance. She's married to that guy. And the whole band is crying.
What fun.
Well, we have fun. You got to have fun. There's plenty of times to be serious. And when your bus breaks down, you got to take care of that. Or, you know, there's always times on a tour
Well, all the travel is
and,
for the reward.
Yeah. And sometimes checking into an airport sometimes checking into a hotel is a nightmare, right? You know? And so when you get to the stage is like, the payoff for the day. It's like, it's what you would do for free, you know?
I do have one more question I ask every guest. When you get to heaven, if you could sing a song with anyone who's already there, who would it be and what would you sing?
Sure. Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
La Vie en Rose. That's probably like my favorite record. He's my favorite artist ever. Whenever I hear him, no matter what you're going through, no matter what is happening in your day, I stop to listen. He stops. He stops everything.
So much heart in it.
Oh, man. And I think he's probably one of the greatest artists and probably one of the most underrated artists. I wouldn't say he's underappreciated. I think the people that know him appreciate him a lot. I mean, there's so many to choose from, right?
Well, Satchmo's going to have them all handy, though. He's going to have them all around.
Yeah.
You know, that'll be a great band.
It's going to be a great band.
And we all hope it's a long time from now before you join them.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Glad to have you here. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man. My pleasure.
Raul Malo.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.